just having a newborn 3 weeks ago, coming back and then going back to work the same day, like 2 weeks later, and then getting called out 2 hours later, and then you kind of got to leave the wife and kids at home. She's dealing with the night feeds, and you go and get called out at 3 in the morning, go to an RTC, come back, and you're expected to then pick up a newborn baby and be nice and relaxed and calm. But it's hard to do, but you kind of just do it really. I think a few of us have all had that situation.
The longer you do it, it becomes second nature.
Is it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the way it works. It's after so many years of doing it, it's like it just becomes part of you. And how you do it and how you deal with it is, we don't talk about it. You know what I mean?
No,
we don't. It might be a bit. We might seem a bit cynical as how we deal and how we handle things in our own personal circumstances.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's the way it has to be, but we have to be as technical on the job. You know what I mean? It's like we have to make sure that things go as a
There is probably better ways of dealing with it than it has been in the past, though, to be fair.
There's more on offer now than ever, but it's all about being professional, and you go into a certain mindset where you've got to deal with what's in front of you. Once you've dealt with what's in front of you, you switch off.
Mm-hmm.
And some people think it's a wee bit heinous that actually you'll see somebody smiling at these things, but having a laugh with your colleagues and dealing with it is the only way you can.
Yeah.
Some people don't like that, some people do. It's personal preference, but I think in all the years I've been here, I've only ever once had an incident that affected me, and it was a young girl, and it was a girl that was maybe 2 years older than my daughter, and that made me think, oh, hang on a minute. But that is the only time that anything's ever affected me, and that was actually one of the incidents that we got the backup support.
Oh yeah.
We all came out here and we all sat in the drill yard. We got the chairs round. It was a nice Saturday afternoon, and we all talked about it. And it's the only real time that we've ever done that, and it did make a difference. So showing these ways of dealing with things can be maybe a good way of going forward. But everybody's got to deal with it in their own way.
Definitely. I feel, just even speaking to my wife about things, just once it's talked about, it's done, it's finished, and then you move on. But as long as I've spoken about it and got what I need to say said, and then fine.
You can definitely get it out. Definitely better to get it out. You
Yeah.
just sit there thinking about it. It's like you go to bed, like you come back from a shot at 5 o'clock and you're wired to the moon.
Yeah.
You're up at 6 to go work.
The
You
worst
go to
part
work and
about
then
it
you
going
keep
out in the
going.
night is the sleep deprivation.
It is, yeah.
You're having to go to your work the next day.
You do.
You
Or
get
you,
up in the morning.
the weirdest thing as well is when you go to a shout and it's all adrenaline, then next thing you know, being a joiner, you wake up on plasterboard on the wall and you're like,
You can
how
crash.
does it,
Yeah,
well, they're not
yeah,
saying it's like, it's
yeah.
just natural, it seems to be just this, you go into kind of,
The other side of that, the hardest thing is after a long day's work. You know, in a hot day or whatever, you have a long day's work and you've got to go out there and cut cars open or go into houses or hellfires, or it's always pretty physical stuff.
yeah.
Especially if it's at night. Well, you called it at night and you early morning, you go back to bed, you try to get that half hour sleep, because there's half hour left, you're not going to go.
There's no chance you're getting back to
No
sleep
chance
now.
of getting back to sleep for that half hour.
There's also the catch-up element. If you go away for a long period of time, and then you come back to work, you come back to something you were doing, you then you need to catch up on it.
Yeah.
So you end up sort of burning yourself out even more potentially sometimes. But
You just got on with it.
these
don't you?
things are few and far between now.
I think everybody remembers the first bad shout as well, but I suppose you get over it. You don't get over it, but you've had a few, I suppose, getting out of it enough. But
I don't remember my first.
I think with it being now a lot
I do.
quieter than it was maybe once upon a time, with especially the RTCs and that.
Yeah, I
But-
think when I joined our first year, we had about 250 shouts. And a lot of that were false alarms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fisher's Hotel actually was the worst. We were there every single night. But now, last year, I think we had just about 100.
Yeah.
But they all seem to be more severe. They're proper
Yeah.
shouts.
Yeah, you see that if your pager goes now, you're kind of expecting it's going to be something,
Yeah.
which you kind of know it is that.
Hot weather brings them.
It's getting that as well as you could be asleep, and then when the space is 7 minutes, you're on the road. And for us in the back, rookies especially, it's kind of just keep your head
That's
down and
what-
listen.
that's what
But
people
for
don't
people like
understand.
Greg and Martin in the front, the head must be going 100
Yeah.
mile
Need
an
to be
hour
switched on
constantly.
straight away.
It's not just the people that you're going to save, it's the people in the back of the
But you
appliance
can
that you've got to worry
be
about as well.
complacent as well, because there's been as many times that we've been to Fishers for an alarm. We've been called out there one night, and that was
The place was on fire.
the whole hotel was up on fire. You know what I mean? That turned out to be the biggest shout of that year. You know what I mean, for the fire service. You know what I mean? So
It doesn't give you much time from here to Fishers to...
Aye,
get
no,
your head
put a
together,
plan
yeah.
put a plan into place and get ready. Psych yourself up.
Then just know that you've done it right. When you come back, I mean, like I said, with us being rookies, we know what we're doing. But
You've got your roles, you know.
we've got rules to do it, and it's amazing how quick it goes as well. You think if you go to the training, you're doing the same thing over and over again. You go to a shout, and it's an hour later, and you're coming back up the road, and you're like, well, that went perfect.
It doesn't take long to put a fire out.
Doesn't.
It takes a long time to clean up the mess.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the
It doesn't take
aftermath.
long to put it out.
Yeah. It's good to know that if anything does get too much on top of you, can, even in-house, you've got that, but knowing to have that more support further on, because it is hard to speak to people, especially when you're working them side by side every day. You don't want to be the weaker one in the group, maybe, that's what a lot of people might think, but knowing that you've got a phone call away, whatever it is, message it's good to know that's there.
There's quite an old-fashioned thought that it's a bit of a macho place to work, but it's really not.
No.
And more so now, at the moment I feel we've got a great group of people that contribute in many different ways, but there's no egos. Everybody is really comfortable with each other, so they can talk, they can support each other if needs be, but you can never have too much support. We've encountered some of the support avenues from the fire service after a couple of difficult shouts, and we can always do more. There's never enough, because you don't know how it affects that one person who says they're okay.
Yeah.
And even a few weeks down the line, you can see that they're not.
Yeah, you can tell. You need to pick up those signals that are happening then.
Yeah. So no, you need as much support as you can get at the time and during the period afterwards, because it's very easy to think, well, I've got this, nothing's affected me so far, nothing's going to affect me, and then all of a sudden when that one does, you go, hang on a second, but it's like you say, it's too late. So you need to be made aware of these things and the potential for something to trigger later. You need to be made aware of that early. There's maybe not enough awareness of that at the moment, so people need to be
some mechanism
made aware of that.
to break down male pride.
That's,
Unfortunately,
There's an element of that,
that's
yeah.
the part of it is breaking down that male pride, and then
It's looking at the person. You've just been. Well, you could be a shout with 6 people and it's only affected one person, and you're wondering why it's if that shouldn't have affected me. But then, even like you said, Greg, highlighting that there is help there, because you do know, you see it, but it's still not as high as it should be.
It's a funny one, because I always say to my wife that I feel like a bit of a heartless person because I don't let anyone bother me.
no,
I've been so fortunate, apart from that one incident with my daughter, where the woman, the girl, she drowned in the waters, and they worked on her for about an hour. And we walked back to the machine, because it was in Dunkeld down the woods. And we walked back to the machine, and it was like, wow, did that just happen? She's only 2 years older than my daughter. That could have been her. And that's the only time that I've ever went, shit.
That's because you can kind of bring it into your reality. Then you can distance it. You can.
I could bring in a lot of other things.
You
into
could
my
do,
reality,
yeah.
and I've always never ever done it. And since then, I've never done it. That's
What a show.
only one time.
The other thing I think as well, being in the job we're in, you don't really switch off. You know, Colleen will say to me, you know, I'll just leave it, somebody else is dealing with it, and I'll have to go and see if I can help. Or, you know, if somebody's falling in the street, I'll pull the van up and I'll stop.
Yeah,
to see if I can
you're
do
right,
something.
Yeah, you're right.
Whereas before I did this, I honestly believe that you would look at it and go, somebody's dealing with that.
Well, that's what it is.
And a lot of people would go past. But see, now I cannot
Yeah.
at all.
You can't
bypass stuff.
Yeah, I certainly can't anymore.
No,
Colleen's sitting there like, oh gee whiz, he's at it again.
here it goes again.
that's just
It's the mindset, it's the culture.
it's the culture, the mindset, and that's why you joined the retired fire. But you didn't join it to make money. You know what I mean? It's not
No, it's-
something that keeps your wallet full by any standard. But it's definitely the camaraderie and the thought that you're doing something for the community and the help and the people about you, because it's the same goes when a strike happens. But we can't go on strike because it's our family we're protecting, and our neighbour and all buses down the street that we're protecting. That's the people we're protecting. So
I definitely think that having the extra help, everybody knows that male is suicide is what you think when you think of that. It's what it seems to be now and it's not it's a male. It's a lot more males who are firefighters, and you're dealing with that. And we're even going out to shelters where it's another male that's had issues or mental health issues, and that's a lot more now that you're getting. And you could easily, you do need someone else to go and you need someone to speak to, and it proves that. I mean, we go so far, then someone needs to kind of back us up as well a wee bit when we need that. And I feel we definitely do get that. So
yeah, you can never get too much help.
But bouncing off each other is it's a way of dealing with it. It's a way of handling things, and when you come back, on the back of the machine, I wasn't at the shout that Greg, but was it with a wee girl. But after a daughter, same as you, the girl went drowned. So, and I could watch this at real time, you know what I mean, and that was horrific. You know what I mean? The thought of that was horrific. You know what I mean? And most of the people that were at it, like say, John,
they all have kids that age.
They all had
Or
kids that
grandkids that
age,
age,
you know what I mean?
actually.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is when you're working in such a close community, you've got family members who just passed their driving test, and you think, oh, is this car crash going to be them?
That was me.
Yeah, and then you've got family members who fall into rivers, and you think, oh God, is this going to be them? That was your brother.
Yeah.
So you've got all these things that you've got to deal with.
especially when you're around the area, we retain around this area, so it's going to be somebody you know
You're
most of
going
the
to
time.
know the person.
Unless it's an RTC on the road, you've got a lot of tourists, but most of the time it's going to be someone
Someone it'll affect.
you know the house number, you know the road, so you know someone who lives on that road. You just wonder if it's going to be that that one. But
Well, I did turn up at the station one time, and it was my son that was in the crash. My son, and it was the officer then phoned me from the dog, tell me to get to the hospital. They don't expect him to make it. You know what I mean? They don't expect him to make it to hospital. And they worked on him on the side of the road, and they stopped the ambulance 4 times between here and Dundee. And he's driving HGVs now. So,
Lucky boy.
you know what I mean? He's lucky, you know what I mean? But the camaraderie, the whole system, everybody together, and you know what I mean? It was like, I had a stroke in November and I couldn't wait to get back on the station. You know what I mean? Just away from my house, you know what I mean? And amongst the guys. Just for them to say, you know what I mean? It's like, make sure you could do this, and you know what I mean? Just to have something different, something away to take you away from normal life, you know what I mean?